Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going way back to follow the life of DJ Carringer across America. Almost a century's worth of history. It's like following in the footsteps of a real pioneer, you know?
Yes.
And we've got all sorts of cool stuff for this one. We've got census records, land deeds, even an auction notice. It's the kind of stuff that really gets history buffs going.
Yeah, exactly.
Like having all the clues laid out for you, it's fascinating.
Precisely. We're going to piece together DJ's story from these breadcrumbs, and I think you'll be surprised by how much we can actually learn about a guy's life from these little pieces of information.
Right. So DJ's story starts in 1828 in Mercer County, Pennsylvania.
Yep, that's right.
And the only record of his birth that we have is from a family Bible.
That's pretty common for that time period.
Yeah, it makes you think about how different things were back then and how important these personal records become for understanding people's lives.
Oh, absolutely. Family Bibles, they were like little time capsules. They hold births, deaths, marriages, all kinds of key events. For genealogists like me, these are absolute gold. They help connect the dots between generations and build out those family trees.
Yeah. So speaking of family, the 1850 census gives us a glimpse into the Carringer household at the time. It was a big family with a farming background.
Yeah.
It seems like they really valued education too, because many of the children, including DJ, attended school.
And by 1850, DJ is 21 years old, and he's listed as a carpenter. So it's likely that he started an apprenticeship as a teenager, maybe even younger.
Wow, starting your career that young? Think about that.
It was a different time. You know, skilled trades were super important back then. They offered a really stable career path. It's not like today where people change jobs all the time.
And just a year later, in 1851, DJ marries Rebecca Spangler, and guess what? This is recorded in that same family Bible.
Really?
Yeah. Talk about a family heirloom, right?
Yeah. Marriage records are crucial for tracing ancestry. You know, they tell us about the social fabric of the time. That record officially links DJ and Rebecca's families, expands the branches of that family tree we're building.
So they start their life together in Pennsylvania, but then sometime before 1858, they make a huge decision. They pack up and move to Louisa County, Iowa. What do you think? Is this part of that whole westward expansion that was happening?
Oh, you bet. This was the era of opportunity in the West. Imagine, you know, vast, fertile lands just ripe for the taking.
Yeah.
Especially enticing for someone with farming roots.
Yeah. And it wasn't just about the land. There was also a sense of adventure, a chance to make a new start for yourself. By 1860, the census places them in Columbus City. Iowa DJ's still working as a carpenter. But there's something kind of interesting here. His property value is listed at just $200 compared to his father back in Pennsylvania who had $2,000 worth of property.
Wow.
What do you think about that?
That's a pretty big difference, right? It suggests that maybe DJ was starting out with less capital when he moved out west. You know, maybe he was striking out on his own, determined to build his own success. Yeah. Owning land back then symbolized the American dream. So maybe that was his goal.
Right. Makes sense. So they're in Iowa, seemingly building a life, but then things take a bit of a turn. In 1862, they purchase some land, but then just 2 years later, they sell it. Why the quick turnaround? Was DJ just restless? Or was there something else going on?
Well, you have to remember, this was a time of intense land speculation. The Civil War was causing a lot of economic uncertainty. DJ might have been trying to capitalize on those fluctuating land values, or maybe some other circumstances forced his hand.
Right. Life was a lot less predictable back then.
For sure.
So after this brief stint in Louisa County, they end up in Washington County, Iowa, sometime in the 1860s. The 1870 census lists DJ as a farmer, and this is where things get really interesting. The 1870 agricultural schedule tells us all about their farm. It's like a snapshot of their lives.
Yeah, it breaks down their whole operation. The number of acres, the livestock, the crops they were raising, even the total value of their production. It's an amazing resource to get a feel for the daily realities of farming life back then.
So they had 40 acres of improved land, 4 horses, 3 cows, 9 pigs. They were raising spring wheat, corn oats, potatoes. They even had sheep for wool.
Wow.
This diverse farming approach seems pretty typical for families back then, right?
Absolutely. It was all about self-sufficiency, you know, generating a variety of products to meet their own needs. They weren't exactly running to the grocery store or ordering stuff online like we do today.
Right, and their total farm production was valued at $685. That might not sound like much today, but what would that be in today's money?
Let's see, adjusting for inflation, it'd be closer to maybe $15,000 to $20,000.
Wow, that's way more than I would have guessed. And get this, they didn't have any hired hands. It was just the family working the farm. Was that normal for a farm that size?
Oh yeah, definitely. Smaller farms often relied solely on family labor. Everyone pitched in, from the youngest to the oldest. It was a tough lifestyle. but it also created a strong sense of unity, I think.
Yeah, you can imagine the long hours and the backbreaking work. It really makes you appreciate how tough those early farming families were. But sadly, it seems their success was short-lived. In 1872, we find a public auction notice for their farm.
Oh, no.
Yeah, what do you think happened?
Well, this is definitely a turning point in their story.
Hmm.
Clearly, things weren't going as well as they might have seemed. Life in the 19th century was always a bit precarious. Unpredictable weather market fluctuations and personal misfortunes were always a possibility.
Yeah, and this auction notice, it's not just a simple notice, it lists everything that's being sold. A team of mares, harnesses, plows, a mower and reaper, even their furniture. It's kind of heartbreaking to imagine having to make that decision to sell off everything you've worked so hard for.
Absolutely. It speaks volumes about their resilience, though. Faced with setbacks, they adapted and kept moving forward.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what led to this, though. Was it a bad harvest? A drop in crop prices? Or maybe something else entirely?
Yeah, it's a mystery we might never fully solve. But what we do know is that after this auction, they decide to make another big move, this time to Boulder County, Colorado.
Wow. So they're heading west again.
Yeah, and sadly, tragedy strikes soon after their arrival. In 1874, their daughter Effie dies at the young age of 15. Her obituary describes the family's profound grief and the outpouring of sympathy from the community. It's a stark reminder of how fragile life was back then.
The heartbreaking reminder of the human cost of history.
Mm.
We often focus on dates and events,
Hmm.
but these personal stories bring the past to life in a whole new way.
It really does. So here they are in Colorado, grappling with this terrible loss. What happens next in DJ's life? How do they rebuild? Let's find out in part 2 of our deep dive.
Welcome back to our deep dives into the life of DJ Carringer. When we left off, DJ and Rebecca were facing a heartbreaking loss and starting over again in Colorado. What happened next?
Well, if we pick up the trail in the 1880 census, we find DJ back at his original trade, working as a carpenter in Boulder.
So it seems like they're trying to rebuild their lives.
Yeah, and his sons, Harvey and Henry, are also listed, both in their late 20s. Harvey's following the agricultural path, like his dad working as a farmer, and Henry's taken up the family trade as a millwright and carpenter.
Oh, wow. So even amidst their grief, they're finding a way to move forward. It makes you think about the strength and resilience people must have had back then.
It's pretty remarkable. And this census also gives us a glimpse into the lives of their sons. It's interesting to see how family traditions were sometimes passed down through generations. Right, like carrying on those skills, those ways of life into a new era. But then in 1881, something interesting happens. DJ sells some land that he inherited back in Iowa. Why would he do that, especially after losing their farm in Washington County?
That's a good question. Inheriting land was a big deal back then. It often tied families to their history and provided some financial security. So selling it suggests that maybe there was a need for cash. Maybe to help support themselves in Colorado or to invest in a new venture.
It really makes you think about the choices people had to make back then. The constant balancing act between holding on to the past and trying to build a new future.
Exactly. And managing property from that far away would have been pretty difficult in those days. So selling it might have been a practical decision, especially if their focus was on getting established in Colorado.
Okay, that makes sense. So they're adapting, finding their footing in this new place. But then the 1885 Colorado census throws us a bit of a curveball.
Yeah.
DJ is listed as a fruit grower. Another career change. He's a man of many talents. I know, right? Is this a sign of DJ's adaptability, or were career shifts just more common back then?
Well, switching occupations wasn't all that unusual in the 19th century. People had to adjust to changing economic conditions and opportunities. And Colorado was experiencing a bit of an agricultural boom at that time. Fruit orchards were becoming a big part of the landscape.
Oh, right. Colorado peaches and apples were getting quite a reputation for their quality. So DJ was right there catching the wave of this new agricultural frontier.
He was. It really speaks to his entrepreneurial spirit, a willingness to take risks and seize opportunities as they came up. This was especially true out in the American West, where people were always reinventing themselves and looking for ways to prosper.
Yeah, it's a really different mindset than what many people have today. But the story doesn't end in Colorado. By 1898, we find DJ and Rebecca in sunny San Diego, California. That's a big move, especially at this stage in their lives. Why do you think they decided to move again?
It's an intriguing question, isn't it? Maybe they were drawn by the milder climate, or longed for a more coastal lifestyle, or perhaps they were following family, or seeking new opportunities in a rapidly growing city.
Or maybe a little bit of everything, whatever the reason they were on the move again. And this time we've got a really interesting piece of the puzzle. A newspaper article from 1898 mentions DJ getting a permit to build a cottage for just $800.
Wow.
Can you imagine building a whole house for that much today?
No way. That's
Or
incredible. And the article mentions that the cottage is in Choten-Siemens Addition east of the city park, which gives us a little glimpse into what San Diego was like back then.
It's amazing how these little details can bring their story to life. And speaking of maps, the 1900 census puts them at the corner of Horton and Ellis Streets, which I believe is 30th and IB today.
It's fun to imagine how the city's layout and street names have changed over time.
Right. It's like being a historical detective. And this census also tells us that their son Harvey was living with them. It makes you wonder if they might have been living near their other son Henry, who we know had also settled in San Diego.
It's possible. Maybe after all those moves and hardships, they found solace in being close to their children. Family bonds must have been a really powerful force in their lives.
Yeah, I think so too. The census also notes that DJ was in his early 70s at this point and had no occupation listed. So maybe he was finally enjoying a well-deserved retirement after a lifetime of hard work and adventure.
I hope so. Can you imagine DJ and Rebecca finally settling into a quieter pace of life? Maybe tending a garden, enjoying the California sunshine, and sharing stories of their incredible journey.
It's a really nice thought. And speaking of stories, remember that collection of family books and letters we mentioned earlier? Some of those letters apparently describe their time in Colorado, providing firsthand accounts of their experiences.
Really?
Yeah, imagine reading those letters, hearing their voices come through the pages.
That would be incredible. Those letters could reveal so much about their struggles, their joys, their hopes and dreams, and maybe even shed some light on why they eventually made their way to California.
You never know. Maybe they were yearning for one last adventure, a chance to reinvent themselves once more. Or maybe they were seeking the comfort of family and community in a brand new place.
There are so many possibilities. It's exciting to think about all the untold stories that might be hidden within those letters and books, but sadly, we also know that this chapter of their lives is coming to a close.
Right? The records tell us that Rebecca passed away in San Diego in 1902.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and shortly after DJ followed, their final resting place is in La Vista Cemetery in National City, California. They're buried next to their grandchild.
It's a reminder that even the most extraordinary journeys eventually come to an end.
It is,
Yeah.
but their legacy lives on through their descendants and through the stories we uncover about their lives.
Absolutely. Their story pieced together from all these little fragments of the past reflects the dynamism of the American spirit, the resilience of families in the face of hardship, and the enduring power of human connection.
But before we wrap up their story, there's one more fascinating detail to explore. Remember that mention of a cemetery deed that DJ purchased back in Colorado in 1876?
No.
The timing seems to align with the passing of their daughter, Effie. Do you think this land was for her final resting place?
It's definitely possible. Let's dive into that and more when we come back for the final part of DJ Carringer's Deep Dive.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the life of DJ Carringer. We're in the final stretch now, uncovering those last pieces of the puzzle. We know that he and Rebecca ended up in San Diego, but what happened after that?
Remember that cemetery deed that DJ purchased in Boulder, Colorado back in 1876?
Yeah.
Well, the timing of it lines up with the tragic passing of their daughter Effie.
Right.
It seems very likely that this land was for her final resting place.
It's a sad thought, but it's a reminder of the kind of losses that families had to endure back then. You know, it makes you appreciate the strength they must have had to keep moving forward to build a new life in a new place.
Absolutely. And as they settled into life in San Diego, they weren't completely alone. Remember, their son Henry had already made a home there, working as a carpenter.
Yeah.
It's heartwarming to think that after all their moves, they found some comfort and support in their family network.
It really shows how important those family ties were, especially during times of transition and uncertainty. And remember that newspaper article from 1898 about DJ building a cottage for just $800?
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about what construction costs are like today.
I know, it's mind-boggling. And that article also placed their cottage in Choten-Siemens Addition east of the city park. It gives us a little snapshot of what San Diego was like at that time.
It's like we're watching the city grow and develop right alongside DJ's story. And speaking of stories, I would love to get a look at those family letters that described their time in Colorado.
Oh, me too.
Imagine the stories they could tell, the details they could reveal about their daily lives, their struggles, their triumphs.
I know. Those letters could be a goldmine of information. They might explain why they chose to go to San Diego, what they hoped to find there, how they adapted to a new environment, a new way of life.
Right. Maybe they even wrote about California's booming economy or the diverse population at that time.
That's fascinating to think about.
It really is. Those kinds of personal perspectives make history come alive in a way that statistics and census records never could. It's like you can hear their voices across all these years, sharing their hopes and dreams, their fears and worries. It's a good reminder that even the people who lived centuries ago were real people just like us.
Exactly. They faced challenges, they celebrated milestones, they went through the ups and downs of life just like we do. And even though DJ's story might not be in the history books, it's still a valuable piece of the larger American story.
It really is. It's a story of resilience, adaptability, and the enduring power of family bonds. From a farm in Pennsylvania to the bustling streets of San Diego, DJ's life span almost an entire century of incredible change and transformation.
It's true, he witnessed westward expansion, the rise of industry, the growth of cities, so many historical events that shaped the nation. And through it all, he kept moving, kept adapting, kept creating a new life for himself and his family.
It's inspiring to see that kind of determination. Even in the face of uncertainty and hardship, there is always that possibility of a new beginning.
I agree. And while his journey came to an end in San Diego, his legacy lives on through his descendants and through the stories that we uncover about his life. Every detail we learn, every connection we make, it enriches our understanding of the past and connects us to those who came before.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into DJ Carringer's life, what stands out to you the most? What will you remember about his story?
For me, it's the reminder that history isn't just about big events and famous people. It's really about the individual stories that make up the human experience. DJ Carringer might not have been a famous figure, but his life was full of adventure resilience and a deep love for his family.
Yeah, that connection to family seems to have been a guiding force for him throughout his entire life. From Pennsylvania to Iowa to Colorado and finally California, he built a life that was centered around family, and he adapted to each new place and embraced the opportunities that came his way.
His story shows us that even seemingly ordinary lives can be extraordinary when we take the time to explore them and appreciate how they connect to the bigger picture of history.
Absolutely. So there you have it, the incredible journey of DJ Carringer, a real testament to the spirit of adventure, the power of family, and the human spirit's ability to overcome challenges and embrace change.
And this is just one story out of millions that are waiting to be discovered. Who knows what fascinating tales might be hidden in your own family history?
That's such a great point. Maybe DJ's story will inspire you to start your own deep dive, uncovering the stories of your ancestors and connecting your own life to that broader tapestry of history.
You never know what you might find. You might discover a long-lost family secret, or a story of triumph against all odds, or even a connection to a major historical event that shaped the world.
That's what makes history so captivating. It's a constant journey of discovery, connecting us to the past, helping us understand the present, and inspiring us to create a better future.
So keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.
We'd love to hear your thoughts about DJ Carringer's story. You can share them with us on platform where listeners can engage. And if you're ready to start your own genealogical deep dive, we've got tons of resources to help you get started. Until then, keep those